On today's Two on Your Side Town Hall, will Cuomo step down on his own, or is he going to be forced out of office? We're going to bring you up to date on efforts to oust the state's top leader.
Plus, you have heard about that hot used car market. Depending on the make and model you have in your garage, you could have the keys to some serious cash.
And while there seem to be plenty of available workers here in Buffalo, businesses are having trouble finding them. One company tells us getting tons of applications, but it sort of ends there. We'll explain what the issue is.
We are going to begin this half hour with Governor Andrew Cuomo's resistance to leaving office after the stunning report from New York Attorney General looking into allegations of sexual harassment and assault.
The AG's investigation found that the governor sexually harassed at least 11 women. And tonight, calls for impeachment are growing louder since it appears he will not step aside on his own. The Associated Press conducted a count today and found the following. At least 83 of the 150 members of the Assembly have said publicly or told AP reporters that they support starting the process to impeach if the governor doesn't resign. Obviously, that is a majority, though the timing of all of this is determined by leadership.
There are 43 Republican members in the Assembly. That caucus is pushing for a special session to speed up the process. And joining us live to talk more about it is Marina Villeneuve. She covers the state government for the Associated Press and has been reporting on that tally. Marina, it's great to have you back with us.
Thank you.
So as we just mentioned there, at least more than half of the body's 150 members are out there saying that they think impeachment should begin right now. You really just need a majority to kind of move that forward. What is the latest reporting that you have out of Albany? And I think a lot of people are wondering, is there anyone who doesn't support impeachment at this point?
Right. The AP, we've reached out to all members of the Assembly. The only ones that we've either not heard from some folks, and some members of the Judiciary Committee have said that they don't want to give a statement either way about whether they'd support impeachment. But other than that, we've heard now from over 85 members of the legislature, which is well above the threshold for an Assembly impeachment vote, to send articles of impeachment to the Senate for a trial. It seems like the major question right now is just how soon that could take. There are some lawmakers who say, let's just write out the articles of impeachment and have a vote and get this process going. And several members of the Judiciary Committee that I've spoken with said they want to try to make sure that they have as good of a case as they can to make sure that, for example, the governor, if impeached, doesn't end up getting acquitted if the case isn't strong enough or there are mistakes.
And the Assembly Judiciary Committee is scheduled to meet Monday. So what do we expect from that meeting now that the findings of the Attorney General's report are public?
Right. So the lawmakers that I've spoken with said that the plan is still for the meeting to be behind closed doors, so the public isn't going to really know what exactly is going to be said. We know that the speaker wants this to go as quickly as possible, but there are still pretty basic questions about what are grounds for impeachment in New York that aren't actually really settled. We've had one impeachment in the state, and it has widely been seen as was a very political process, and there's a push for there to be better ground rules, essentially. So when the Judiciary Committee has its closed door session on Monday, they're going to be hearing from lawyers about the latest about what they're hearing, perhaps some preliminary thoughts on the AG's report. But even though this probe has been going on since March, there isn't a lot of clarity on a lot of what we could what we might be expecting next. It could take weeks, according to lawmakers.
Yeah, and to be a fly on the wall at that meeting, we'll see what actually leaks out and what reporters like yourself and others are able to glean from what's happening behind closed doors. You mentioned that impeachment that has happened just once in state history, more than 100 years ago. So you're right, there are just so many unknowns right now. I know that we are getting reaction from some lawmakers. You've talked to a bunch of them. I wonder what's going on right now in the executive chamber. You know, we got that produced video yesterday from the governor. Clearly, he's not stepping down right now, but are you hearing at all from people, close to the governor? Does he actually believe right now, considering the numbers that you've reported on, that he can survive this?
Well, we heard from the Democratic Party chair, Jay Jacobs, today. He said that he gave the governor a call this afternoon asking him to really consider resigning rather than put New York through this impeachment trial, which will only get more heated and contentious as time goes on. And it really does seem that, based on my conversations with individuals close to the governor, that he is very much wanting to fight this out.
And finally, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul is a Western New Yorker. She is well known here. If the governor is removed from office, or if he changes his mind and decides to resign, she would take over the executive office. So what kind of challenges would she be facing stepping into that role?
Right. There is obviously still the pandemic going on. There's been so many issues with the rollout of the rent relief program. Very little money of the $2+ billion has actually gone out to renters and landlords. And there are calls to extend the eviction moratorium because of how slow the state's been. And obviously, she'll have to really step up to address vaccination issues and questions about what the next school year is going to look like as well.
Finally, Marina, before we let you go, I want to just ask you about the timing and how this is all going to play out. I know that there is this behind closed doors meeting on Monday. Do you get a sense, based on the conversations that you've had over the past 24 hours or so, that this is going to be sped up, that this is something we can expect to happen pretty soon in terms of the impeachment, getting to a vote? Or is this something that you think is going to drag out?
I think, frankly, there's a disconnect between the statement that we saw yesterday from the speaker saying that that there is consensus that this needs to happen as quickly as possible, and with the reality of this wide-ranging impeachment investigation going on the Assembly Judiciary Committee, it doesn't seem like anyone, any of the legislative leaders, are calling for that investigation to be halted or put aside for now. It seems like everyone's talking about wanting to conclude, and for that to conclude, there is just a lot of balls in the air still when it comes to looking through, tens of thousands of documents and subpoenas and all of these sort of things. And right now, it's really just been the lawyers who are looking at these issues. The lawmakers haven't gotten even a chance to look at any of these allegations in depth. So it does not seem like it's going to be a matter of days. It seems like it could be a matter of weeks, and there's going to be a frustration because it's sort of right now seems like the suggestion is that this could be wrapped up soon, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
Marina Villeneuve covers state politics for the Associated Press, based there in Albany, where this story continues to unfold. Thanks so much for sharing your insights and your reporting with us.
Thank you.
And we are seeing some not so subtle pressure from the public for Governor Cuomo to resign. A plane flew over the state capitol today with a sign reading, "The report is in, remove Cuomo now."
It's too early for scientific public polling on this issue, though a source connected to a big research firm today told me to expect questions in the field very soon. Meantime, people rallied against the governor today. This is video outside his office in New York City, people calling for his eviction.
Many chanted, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Governor Cuomo's got to go." In case you missed it, the governor put out a recorded video yesterday denying any wrongdoing and resisting the growing calls for him to step aside.
This story, of course, extends far beyond New York State. It led all of the national network newscasts yesterday evening, multiple reports on each channel, and the President of the United States was among those who quickly called for the governor to resign after that report became public.
And today, the White House press secretary was again asked about the administration's position as the governor refuses calls to leave office.
The president made clear yesterday that Governor Cuomo should resign, and I believe we should start with that. There's obviously a process that's going to proceed, and leaders in New York spoke to that yesterday. We'll leave it to them to speak to that, but the president believes Governor Cuomo should do the right thing, resign, and leave space for future leadership in New York. Well, I think, again, the president made clear because of the abhorrent allegations that were made public yesterday that it is time for Governor Cuomo to resign. At the same time, we do not want the people of New York to be impacted in a negative way as they're working to fight COVID. And we're going to continue to work with the administration in New York, with leaders in New York to continue to fight COVID. That will continue, and obviously if leadership changes in the state, we will work with a different leader.
Very much seeming like the only person who doesn't think Governor Cuomo should resign is Governor Cuomo. So we are in a bit of a holding pattern at this point to wait and see what happens next. Of course, the immediate question, how quickly it will unfold. And just talking to Marina, it sounds like it's going to be longer than a lot of people may want or think.
And in the meantime, there's a government to run, right? As Jen Psaki just mentioned there, COVID is still a real thing right now, and there's so much uncertainty.